Hey there guys, I am SonicGhost, and today we are here to unbox something very different for the channel actually. Today we are here to unbox the Audio-Technica AT2020 condenser microphone and the Focusrite Scarlett Solo. Now normally on this channel I cover a lot of video game related stuff as I am a Let's Player here by trade, and I do a lot of video game live streaming on Twitch and will upload those streams here onto the channel. And in order to do all this stuff, I need a lot of audio equipment. So for today's video, we're going to be focusing on the equipment I'll be using going forward to make my videos and live streams. So I feel like this is a very integral thing for the channel, and there's a lot that went into the process of picking out all the gear you see on screen now, as I am going from a very big upgrade from a USB microphone to an XLR microphone. So there was a lot of research that had to be done for this upgrade, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys today a lot of my mindsets going into this. But for now, let's go ahead and start unboxing some of this stuff by first starting to unbox the Focusrite Scarlett Solo. Okay, let's go ahead and unbox ourselves the Focusrite Scarlett Solo. So this interface can go ahead and accept inputs from an XLR microphone source or a 1/4 TRS cable, which would be good for, say, if you record electrical guitar. This interface will be able to record from that kind of source, and this interface can record up to 24-bit 192 kilohertz audio. So if you do know your audio, then you know that this is a pretty high-end piece of gear. The Focusrite brand of interfaces are very well known in the audio engineering community to be some of the best stuff on the market. And this is the 3rd generation Focusrite Scarlett, so there are some new features on here that I'm really excited to try out for myself. So let's go ahead and take a look at the box here itself to see what we have in the packaging. So here on the front, as you can see, this is the interface we'll have. We'll be taking a look at that here in a second. On the side here is some serial information and such, which I'm not going to be showing. And on the sides, you have information about what you got once again, but on the back is a full description of everything here that comes in the box along with its included software. So there is a lot of stuff here we'll be able to take a look at and use with our new USB audio interface. So let us go ahead and crack open the box, as here on the bottom we have a bunch of different languages obviously, but down here is our little slip that we need to go ahead and cut open. So got my handy knife here. Just gonna go ahead and just slice this right on open. And now let's go ahead and open up the box. So inside right away we have some extra information here of how we connect the interface to our computer and how we would use it for a first time setup. And if I can go ahead and flip the box itself, as you can see our interface is just right there, right on the top. So that is the first thing I guess we'll be able to take a look at here. But before we do, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the extra stuff here that surrounds the interface. So for starters, this here is the USB cable you would use to attach this to your computer, and it is a USB-C to a USB-A cable. So the Focusrite Scarlett Solo 3rd Gen will connect via USB-C, which means you can also use a USB-C to C cable if you have one of those lying around. So this is very nice. I'm very happy to see USB-C on something, as USB-C is a very good connector in my opinion. It's a very useful one. And this is pretty much the only other thing you have in the box, the interface itself. You do have one extra thing down here in the very bottom, which is some warranty paperwork and all that, but we're not going to be taking a look at that in this video as that is unnecessary. So let's go ahead and put the cable back in the box for now, close it up, and we'll take a look at the interface itself. Okay, so this here is the USB audio interface. So it's a very tiny little box, and if we go ahead and take it out of the packaging here and take a closer look at it, which is very well wrapped. This feels like some premium packaging here. I do appreciate how they packaged this. So we go ahead and take this out. We don't really need the little safety bag in here, a little rat poison. Who wants to take that out? So here is the actual mixer, and you do have some peel here you can go ahead and rip off, because this here is a glossy finish. As you can see in the lighting, it does shine a lot. So this is a glossy black finish. So take of that as you will. I'm not as big of a fan that they moved away from a more metal looking grill in the front to a glossy looking grill instead, because in the 2nd generation I did see that they didn't have a glossy finish. So that's a little disappointing, but for me, I'm not going to be touching this thing all too much once you have it set up. If you take a look around the back here, you get some extra information here to take a look at. We have two other jacks here, which is a little hard to see, but these are extra TRS jacks. These are outputs for monitoring speakers of some kind, so you can actually hear what is being sent to this mixer to a professional set of studio monitoring speakers. And then you have the USB-C right here to connect to your computer, and you also have in the corner over here, that is a Kensington lock. So if you want this thing to make sure it won't go anywhere, you can put that into a lock and you'll be good to go. And here in the front, you got some knobs, which is kind of hard to see simply because of how this is an all black finish on the sides here, and it's not the best showing up in my camera. I do apologize for that, so I'll make do what we have. So if we take a look at the Scarlett Solo here up close, as you can see right here on our left, we do have our XLR input for our microphone. It has its own gain knob, so if you go ahead and just turn this up or down, that will adjust the gain on your microphone. And there's a little bit of a ring around it. That is actually an LED indicator showing when your microphone is active. It will light up green when it's getting a signal, and it will light up red if your microphone is peaking. So if you're talking too loud, you can actually see a visual indication when your mic is being overloaded. Then you can just adjust the gain from there, just turn it down a bit if it is too loud. Over here we also have some buttons that we can go ahead and mess around with. So right here is a 48 volt button. You would actually use this 48 volt switch if you are using a condenser microphone that needs phantom power of 48 volts. So you just press that on or off when necessary. But more importantly, we have this air button. This is a special feature that was actually added to the 3rd generation of Focusrite Scarletts. So that air circuit is something that was more reserved for the Focusrite higher end gear, and now they put it into something more affordable like the Scarlett Solo here, for instance. And this is supposed to brighten up some sounds, kind of mess with some of the low ends and high ends. So it's something I'll be trying out myself and seeing how it does affect the audio. But it's nice to see an extra feature on here that was more reserved in the past for higher end gear. Over here we do have our instrument line, so this is where you plug in a TRS cable for something like a guitar or another audio source, and you would go ahead, just like with the other source here in your mixer, you would control the volume knob here that can adjust its gain, and then you have a button to turn on instrument on or off depending on your source, so you can get balanced audio or more based audio for like a guitar, for instance. You have your monitor dial here, which will be something that you use in combination with this headphone jack here. Again, another TRS style jack. And you would just plug in your source into here and use this knob to adjust how loud your direct monitoring is, as this has 0 latency monitoring that you can trigger on and off with this direct monitor button. So that is pretty much the interface there, and it is pretty packed for a small little thing. In fact, if we do a little bit of a size comparison here, and compare this to another device just for scale purposing. Here I have myself a new Nintendo 3DS XL, and this is a pretty big handheld system. And if you compare it here to the Focusrite, as you can see, as I put this on here, as you can see, this is technically smaller than a new 3DS XL for size. So this is actually a pretty small little audio interface. It just fits in the palm of my hand. And it is very impressive of how much stuff they can cram in such a little chassis. So I am very excited to try this out. But now that we have unboxed the audio interface here, let's go ahead and take a look at the device we'll be using with this, the microphone. Okay, now let's go ahead and unbox ourselves the Audio-Technica AT2020 condenser microphone. And for good measure here, I have my XLR cable I'll be using with my microphone to connect it to the audio interface. And there's not very much to talk about with this cable here. In fact, it's not really much to unbox, as here's the cable itself. I don't really need to take it out of the packaging for now. So just to demonstrate what this here is a male to female XLR cable. This end here will be going into my audio interface, and the other end here will be going into my microphone. And this does have a release switch here, which is a little hard to see on camera, but I can just press this button in and this will release it from my microphone, making it possible for me to unplug it. So that's basically the cord. Not very much to talk about here. I went with a 10-foot XLR cable to make sure my setup is as convenient as possible without having any kind of issues with cable length. So that's pretty much the cable. Now it's time to look at the big guns itself here. This is the microphone, the Audio-Technica AT2020 condenser microphone. Now this thing here is a pretty popular condenser mic. I've seen a lot of people recommend this one, and there's really not much to say here with the box. It's pretty basic. On the side here, we do have the contents inside the box. We have the microphone and a little carrying bag for the adapter piece you would use to connect the microphone to like a boom arm or a mic stand of some kind. And then the bottom here is just a little extra information as well, and some extra pictures of like the mic grill and such. So that's a very simplistic box, but the more important thing for us is what's inside. So opening up the box here, for starters, right on top, we got some protective foam. We got ourselves some paperwork here and instruction manuals of how you would use this microphone. Don't really need any of this, so I'll toss that to the side for now. And let's just go ahead and look at this here first. So this here is the carrying case. This is a leather carrying case, which is big enough to fit the microphone. And inside of it here, we got ourselves our adapter piece to use the microphone on a stand of any kind. And it does have the proper threading here, so you can connect this to any kind of mic stand. You just take the little threading piece out if you don't need this adapter, but yeah, there's this piece. I luckily don't really need this piece right now, as I already have myself a shock mount I'm going to be putting the microphone inside of, so I can just slide it right on in. And the inside of this case does feel pretty premium, as it does have like foam padding, which really doesn't show up well on camera because it's all black. But outside is leather and inside is a nice little foam, so this is a pretty good carrying case if you just need to throw your microphone in a bag. I don't know if I'll be using this per se with this microphone, but I could get some use out of this with other microphones in the future. So it's a nice little carrying bag. But now with that, it's time for the main attraction itself. Before I take this out of the box, just to showcase how it's packaged here, they have the microphone sitting in a foam protective sleeve. So this was very well packaged, making sure that the microphone will not move around at all in transit. So here it is, the microphone itself. Let us go ahead and take it out of the packaging. And there you go. Let's go ahead and just seal up this box for now, as there's nothing else in here we need to look at. So this here is our microphone. So this is the AT2020 mic. As you can see here, it's not really that terribly big of a mic. It just fits in the palm of my hand perfectly fine here. And on the front here, you do have the Audio-Technica logo. If it can focus here, there it goes, Audio-Technica. This is the side you need to talk into, as this is a condenser microphone, but you don't talk into the front. Well, you don't, scratch that. You don't talk into the top, you talk into the front. I'm getting my orders of operations mixed up here. This is a side addressed microphone. If you try to talk into the top of the mic, this will not work. It will reject the sound. And same goes here for the back of the microphone. This part also will reject the sound, and in fact it even says right here, if it will focus, it says back. So you know what side's the front and what side is the back. Over here we do have the information on the side. This is a Cardioid condenser mic. As mentioned, you have to talk into the front grill here for your voice to be picked up. Anywhere else on the mic, it's going to reject the sound as best as it can. On the bottom here, we have the XLR port. So this is where we will plug in our XLR cable. And just to demonstrate, we want to go ahead and just plug in our cable here. Just like so. And then that just snaps into place, and this is how the microphone will connect to your interface. And then when you want to release, you just hold that release switch, pull it out, and there you go. For comparison's sake, this is the microphone that I have been using for the past 6 years here on the YouTube channel. This is the Samsung C03U USB condenser microphone. So for the longest time, I've been recording with a USB microphone. And this is a multi-pattern mic. It does have a high frequency switch, minus 10 dB switch to make the microphone a lot quieter. Best used for recording instruments. And on the back, there's also 3 switches to change between polar patterns of hypercardioid, omnidirectional, and bidirectional, so you can record either in the front and the back, or all around the microphone, depending on what you need. But I always just left it on the cardioid setting because I never actually needed a lot of those other modes. In fact, I've only really used the only other mode on here, omnidirectional, and I've used that maybe a total of like 5, maybe 6 times at the most with this life of the microphone. But comparing the two in size here, as you can see, the AT2020 is actually a little bit tinier than this USB microphone of mine. And that's actually pretty nice. So this can still actually fit all the equipment I use for my microphones in general. So this will fit my mic boom arm for my desk. It will fit a mic stand I have. It will fit a shock mount, my pop filters. So this is the perfect size mic for what I will be using it for. So this right here is a microphone I'm very excited to try out. But that was everything I have to unbox for you guys here today. That was the Audio-Technica AT2020, the Focusrite Scarlett Solo 3rd Gen, and a 10-foot XLR cable to connect the devices together. So with that said, I'm going to be playing around with this stuff here for the next couple weeks, and I'm going to be making a follow-up video to this unboxing video, giving my first impressions on this audio gear as a whole. So stay tuned for that video, as that will go in depth more with my decision making for buying this gear and my opinions on how all the stuff works together. But with that said, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.